hold your nerve. Whatever you've decided to do, whatever bonuses you've added into your launch, whatever discounts or whatever it is that you've added into your launch, just stick to your guns and hold your nerve, because the right people will join on that very last day, minutes before. I'm talking 40% of the people out of my last launch joined on the last day, probably even more than 40% actually. Hello my friend, I hope you're good. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and New Year, whatever you decided to do. But most of all, I really hope that you're feeling refreshed and revived and ready for a massive 2023. I'm not gonna lie, it took me a little while to get into this year. I didn't kind of like hit the 1st of January and I was like, yes, I'm off and running. I was still kind of ill. I had this virus thing that everyone else had, and I was still feeling a bit funky. But this week, I've turned a corner. I feel incredible, and it's because I've massively focused on my health and what I'm eating, and I'm working out, and that's like my number one priority, and I feel so good for it. So if any of you are in the place where I have been, which is literally in denial of your health, I really encourage you to make it a priority and dive into it, because everything else is falling into place because of my health, and now focusing on good food and good sleep and exercising and stuff like that. These people that say these things, they've got a point. Who knew that eating Cocoa Pops every day and sitting on the sofa not doing anything wasn't actually that good for you? Who bloody knew? But anyway, I also wanted to make sure that I'm really focusing on my health and my energy and things like that, because I've got a challenge coming up, which I'm so excited about. I run a couple of these challenges now. I've done some 3 days, I've done some 4 days, and I've really kind of fine-tuned it as I've been going along. And I enjoy them so much. I literally love spending this time with you and seeing your ideas coming to life, and it just fills me with so much joy. That's why I love to do these full-on challenges. So my challenge is starting on the 16th of January. You can register. The link is in the show notes below, and it's going to be incredible. I know it is. It's called How to Build Your Digital Empire in 2023, and I'm just so excited. So anyway, make sure you register. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the link below. Hello. If you didn't know, all of these episodes are now on YouTube. We also have YouTube Shorts, and all the things. We're covering all bases. So I wanted to talk to you today very quickly about launching. I have these conversations with people so many times about launching their products and launching their courses and things like that. And most of the time, it's actually that people are disappointed with how their launch has gone. They've got these high hopes and they see the potential of selling thousands, if not millions of pounds worth of courses and things like that, and the figures and the income that you can generate through selling courses is absolutely huge. And so because people know this, they go out and they do their launch, and a lot of the time people can be quite disappointed with their first launch, and it breaks my heart. But it's actually just a few key things that they're missing. But so many people tend to do this, which is why I wanted to do this episode today and talk to you about 3 things that you should never ever do when launching your product. It's so important. It's also so common, and I feel like if I can give you the heads up on this, first of all, it's going to save you a lot of disappointment, and you can launch your course or launch your product and have a great success straight out the bat. So here we go. First of all, if you're not sure what a launch is, lots of people also talk to me about launch. What is a launch? What is it? Basically, a launch is one big event where you announce to the world that your product is on sale. So you have 2 types of launches. You have evergreen launches and you have live launches, kind of like an open close cart launch. So an evergreen launch means that your product is always available. At any point throughout the day, throughout the year, someone can go onto your website and they can buy that course or buy that product. A open close launch is something where that product is only on sale for a certain amount of time, usually between 3 and 7 days. You would kind of open your cart for 3 to 7 days, and then you would close the cart, and they can't get access to that course, that product after that. That's a really good one to do, and it's what I tend to do quite a lot, because it kind of adds that scarcity. It really makes people make a decision. Like, I love action takers. I love people who make a decision, and it stops the people being like, oh yeah, I'll wait until the time is perfect. You know, the time is never perfect, and I love to work with people that are like, right, let's go, I'll figure it out, let's just jump in. So the open close cart thing I absolutely love, and I love doing that off a live launch. But a launch really is one event. It could be a webinar, it could be a challenge, a 3-day challenge, 5-day challenge, 2-day challenge. It could be an online summit where you get loads of guest speakers. There's loads of different ways that you can do a challenge, a launch, but it's just one event where you're basically saying, my product is on sale, here we go, do you want to buy it? Not in those words exactly, but there's a whole process that goes into launching, and I'm going to do a workshop entirely on launching, because I do feel like it's a massive topic which so many people are missing, and I really want to dive deeper into it. But launching is a whole process. It's not just throwing something out there and being like, hello, my product's here, do you want to buy it? And that is actually the first thing that I want to talk about, which is one of the main things that you never want to do. Never ever just put your course out there or put your product out there and do an Insta story or do a post or something like that, or send out an email and be like, it's here, it's live, there you go, and then just expect all these sales to come in. It just does not work like that. There is a whole nurturing process that goes into a good launch, and a lot of the time the people, probably 50% of the people that eventually end up buying your program, maybe 6 to 8 weeks before that point, don't even know that they need that course, or don't even know that they have that problem, or don't even know that there is a solution for that thing, and they actually need to be nurtured through that process. So I'm going to give you an example of this. This is a really random one, but ages ago, a few years ago, I was watching the Graham Norton show, and Emily Blunt was on there, the actress Emily Blunt, and Graham said to her, oh, I've heard that you've got a really random phobia. It's called trypophobia, and you're have a phobia of small holes. And everyone laughed, and they were like, ah, yeah. And she was like, yeah, I can't see the small holes. Like, they literally freak me out so much. And my ears perked up, because I was like, I really don't like small holes. Like, that whole thing really, really freaks me out. And she said, Google trypophobia and you'll know what I mean. So I Googled it, and instantly I was like, oh my God, that's it. Oh my God. I couldn't look at the picture. I literally could not look at this image of these small holes. I'm laughing, but actually when I look at these things, it freaks me the fuck out. Like, I am not okay seeing these small holes. Things like honeycomb, or, you know, like in flower arrangements, they have that little wooden thing with all the holes in. Anyway, I can't see it. But up until that point, I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't know there was an actual phobia for what I'd seen. I just knew that when I saw these clusters of small holes, it freaked me out, and I couldn't bear to look at it. So because I heard her talking about it, I was like, oh my God, that is what I have. What the hell? I have that. That is exactly what I have, and it all started to make sense. So imagine if, let's say for example, Emily Blunt wasn't, you probably think I'm all nuts. You probably all think I'm nuts now, but it's fine. Imagine if Emily Blunt was not on the Graham Norton show talking about her latest film. She was actually on the Graham Norton show talking about the fact that she had a course helping people with trypophobia, right? This is how the process, this would be a whole launch process and how it would go. She would talk about trypophobia, and I'd be like, oh my God, I have got trypophobia. That is exactly what I've got. My whole life makes sense now. That's why I can't eat a Cadbury's crunchy because of the honeycomb in it. That freaks me out. Okay, this makes sense. And I'm like, right, okay. If she then went, yeah, and I've got a course teaching you how to get over trypophobia, it's $1,000, do you want to buy it? Even though I'm like, whoa, yeah, I think I have that, and that really does like affect my life, and I'd like to get over it, I'm probably not going to be like, yes, okay, I'm going to go and buy this $1,000 course, because I've just figured it out. I'm like, whoa, there is a lot to take in here. Like, this is a lot. This is brand new information. But if she said, I've got a free guide and it teaches you about like the 5 things of trypophobia, the 5 ways to overcome trypophobia, and you know how you can incorporate them in your life. Just go to this website, you can download this free guide and whatever. I'd be like, yes, I'm definitely in for that. I'd go in, I'd download that free guide. Thank you very much, Emily Blunt. You're amazing. So glad that I now know why I can't look at honeycomb. Then she would start nurturing me in my emails. You know, these emails would come through and more, she'd be sharing more stories. Maybe I'd be part of a Facebook group. Maybe she's like, you know, just sharing more stuff, and everything she shares, I'm like, this is me. Oh my goodness. Like, I didn't even know, A, that this was a thing, but also I didn't even know that I could get over this. Like, I didn't even know that there was a resolution for this, or there was a cure for this. This is amazing. And then I start seeing testimonials of other people that she's helped get over this. And I'm like, this is incredible. Right, okay, I need to really look into this. And then over time, we're talking in a few weeks, she does a webinar, or she does a masterclass where she goes right into it, the science behind it, why we get it, why it affects us, blah, blah, blah. So many of you, by the way, are probably thinking, why is she getting so stressed about holes? But honestly, it freaks me out. And I would then go on that masterclass. By now, I've been in Emily's world for a little while, and I'm like, yes, you know what you're talking about. You're amazing. Trypophobia is fucking weird, and it really stresses me out. And also, there are people getting over this. Like, there are people happily eating Cadbury's Crunchies and having a lovely time. What a world to live in. So I would do this webinar or this masterclass with her. And then by the end of it, she pitches her course, and I'm like, yes, I want to buy that course. Like, I fully trust you. I legit know that I've got issues and I need help with those issues. And I fully trust that you've got the answer to help me with that thing. So that's a launch process in a really random way of explaining it to you. But if you miss out that middle bit, you know, that nurturing and that okay, this is me, this is actually me, that bit where you're really helping your ideal client understand that they actually have this problem. If you miss out that thing, they don't get to the point where they're ready to buy. So it's a really important process. And I'll tell you who has done an incredible job of launching their product or launching their book, like him or not, is Prince Harry. Prince Harry has created this build-up all the time leading up to his book launch now. So his book launch launched last night. People were queuing up at midnight. Bookshops were opening up at midnight in London, so people could go and buy this book. It's sold out already. It's absolutely huge. Everyone's talking about this book. But that didn't start. He didn't just literally write this book, do an Instagram post and say, hey, I've written this book. Do you wanna read it? This has gone on for weeks and months. Obviously, there's been the Netflix series. Obviously, there's been articles that he's written. There's been little interviews that he's done. He's shared clips of that book to the point now where there is so much suspense and so much demand that people that are really not bothered about Prince Harry or bothered about the royal family are now queuing up at midnight to go and read this book because they've been caught up in this whirlwind. So the launch process is massive, and this whole nurturing piece where you really help someone identify that they actually have this problem and also show that you have the solution to it and that you are the right person to do it is really important. And the launch process is normally, my launch process is anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks, but the actual pre-launch thing where you're nurturing them and, really speaking to your ideal client is weeks before that. So it's no wonder to me when someone comes to me and says, I launched my course, and I say, what did you do? And they're like, I did a story or I did a post about it, and then they post about it once and that's it. It's no surprise to me that launch doesn't work, because it is an entire process that goes into it. I'm talking emails every other day. There's different email sequences that go into it, and I teach this in my program. I actually have an entire launch playbook where I teach you the entire process throughout the 12 weeks. But yeah, the first thing not to do is to expect that you're going to have an amazing launch just by throwing out a post. Plan out your launch properly, have the whole proper pre-launch phase, the launch phase, and then decide that open cart close. Even if you're going to do it evergreen, and even if your product's going to be available forever and anyone can buy it anytime, still have a window of time after you've announced it that adds some scarcity. Maybe it's an extra bonus, maybe it's a call with you, whatever it is that makes someone say, okay, cool, I want to buy this now. Because when they're on that launch with you, they are the most motivated, they're the most inspired. And so if you can add that scarcity over the next 5 to 7 days, it's going to encourage them to actually jump in and buy, and not think, oh, I'll talk to my husband about it, or I'll talk to my partner, or I'll talk to my neighbour, or I'll have a little think about it. I'll wait until all the stars are aligned and everything's perfect. It makes them actually just jump in. So number 1, don't just do a quick crappy launch. Number 2 is, don't book a launch where you've got loads of life stuff going on. I actually made this mistake myself recently. We did a launch, our last challenge where I launched our program. Because I'd just taken over Girls Building Empires, we were kind of like, timing wasn't on our side, and we had different things and different moving parts, and so we just had to put a launch in when we put a launch in. And it happened to be in August, where like the kids are off school, people were going on holiday, there was loads going on, and personally I was just massively busy. So when you're doing a launch, make sure that you have nothing else in your diary in that time. If you're doing a challenge and you've got that open close cart thing, or even a webinar and your open close cart for 5 to 7 days and the build up to it, make sure that you're not doing loads of other stuff. Make sure you've not got loads of kids' activities on, and you've got family members coming to stay, and you're also trying to create the content. Make sure all the content is done and created before you even enter into that launch, because that launch time, you want to have high energy, because obviously you're going to be on this webinar, maybe you're going to do multiple webinars, maybe you're going to do a challenge, and you want to have high energy on the call. Like your energy is a massive piece of you selling your course. People will always buy into your energy. And so you want to have that high energy, but also you want to be, messaging people in the DMs. I don't mean cold reach outs, but if someone's messaging you and saying, hey, I've just got a question about this, do you think this would suit me for this? You want to be able to give them your time and energy and say, yeah. And, having those chats in the DMs. Maybe you're going to hop on some calls. I love to do calls for people that are not quite sure and just want to chat through their idea. You're going to want to have energy for that. And when you have loads of other stuff going on, you just don't have the brain space or the capacity to really give the launch everything that it needs. And a launch can be really stressful if you A, don't plan for it properly, but B, are trying to juggle a million other things at once. So just make sure that when you're doing a launch, clear your diary and just focus on the launch. And I don't want you to feel, by the way, that this is like this massive thing. Launching is amazing. I love launching. It's so fun. And when you're really prepared and you have a proper launch strategy and it's all done at certain points, and there's a method to it, you can actually just really enjoy the launch process. And that's what I want you to be able to do. And then the third thing that I do not want you to do is to get emotional and start changing things last minute. I see this all the time. So what will happen is people will do their webinar, or they'll do their challenge, and they'll say, okay, doors are open, you can buy my course, go for it. And then what will normally happen is that you'll get a little flurry of people buying straight away. Maybe you've had like a 24-hour bonus, or maybe you've had a bonus like the first 10 people to sign up will get a call with me. And so people just sign up straight away, and that's great. You have that little flurry. Then if your cart is open for 7 days, what normally happens is it goes really quiet and hardly anyone signs up through that time. But then everyone signs up on the last day. And I'm talking like even minutes before those doors close at midnight, people are still signing up. That's just human nature. People always leave it to the last minute. And in that week, that's where people are, researching you more, researching the topic more, validating their idea more. Maybe they might get on a discovery call with you. Maybe they might be DMing you, trying to figure out how they can get the funds together. So that week actually goes really, really quiet. And what always happens, I see this so much, and I just want to grab people and be like, just hold your nerve. What happens is people start saying, people have stopped signing up. Okay, I'm gonna add a discount. I'm gonna drop my prices, and I'm gonna make it 50% discount if they buy now. Or I'm gonna say, okay, I'll add in another bonus, or all this other stuff. And they start making these emotional decisions based out of scarcity, because they just panic and they're like, this has to be a massive launch. I had such high expectations for it. I need everything to come in. And what I want you to do is to hold your nerve. Whatever you've decided to do, whatever bonuses you've added into your launch, whatever discounts or whatever it is that you've added into your launch, just stick to your guns and hold your nerve, because the right people will join on that very last day, minutes before. I'm talking 40% of the people out of my last launch joined on the last day, probably even more than 40% actually. So you've got to hold your nerve and don't get emotional and start slashing your prices, because every time you slash your prices, you are going to diminish your brand and you're going to diminish your value. And the people that have bought it are like, oh, well, it can't be worth that much if she's just, cutting the price like that. So if ever you want to do something like that, never cut your price, just add even more value in. So if you really think this is not moving and even on the last day nothing's happening, you could add in more value, but never ever cut your prices. It just cheapens your brand and cheapens your product. So that is the third thing not to do. I'm going to be doing way more about launching, because I think it is genuinely, like, there's a science to it and there's an art to it, and there is a proven method that works. And I think if more people understood it better, people will have way better launches. And people put so much time and effort into creating these perfect products, and then they just fail on the launch bit. And then what normally happens, this is probably another fourth one of what not to do. They scrap that product. They think, okay, well, the product's obviously crap, the course is crap, or I'm crap, I shouldn't be doing this, and they scrap everything and go and create something else and go through this whole process again of creating more and more and more. And it's not the product that's the problem. It's not you that's the problem. It's just that you haven't marketed it and gone through a proper launch process properly. So the best thing you can do, even if you've had a course already that has flopped, then sit down, put together a proper launch strategy. And I'm going to be teaching you more about this. I teach this within my program anyway, but put together a proper launch strategy and launch it again, and then tweak it and launch it again and tweak it. This challenge that I'm doing now, it's my 4th time doing this challenge, not because each challenge has failed, but I just keep tweaking it. I try 4 days, I try 3 days, I try on Zoom, I try on Facebook, I try lots of different ways, because you just keep tweaking it until you find that sweet spot where everything clicks into place. So don't get so hung up on this first launch being your one and only shot to make it into those 6 figures. Take the pressure off, enjoy the process, plan it properly. Don't be so scrappy and just throwing stuff out there. Really do it properly. And imagine if, like, other big brands just opened up shops and didn't tell anyone. There was no lead up to it, and they were just like, boom, my shop's open. You'd never do it. All other brands and all other big companies that have success have a proper launch strategy, and digital products and courses are no different. So I hope you found that helpful. If you love this episode, I would love it if you are watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe. It makes such a massive difference. If you are listening on Apple iTunes or Spotify, please subscribe also, so that you are the first to know when my new episodes come out. I've got amazing things coming up for you, and I'm really varying it this season as well. And there's going to be so much in there that you're going to love. But honestly, the number of subscribers makes a massive difference, because it enables me to get even higher quality guests on. So if there's people that you want to get on this and hear on this podcast, then I need those subscribers to be able to bring those people to you. So thank you so much. If you loved it, please take a screenshot, tag me on Instagram at Carly Myers Life and at Girls Building Empires. And I'm just so grateful for you tuning in, being here. Please share this with anyone else that you think will find it helpful, and I will see you all very soon. Bye. Hey, just a quickie. If you loved this episode, which I'm sure that you did, it would mean so much to me if you would head over to iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to this and leave me a 5-star review. It means so much, and it does make, honestly, such a massive difference to how we're able to grow this podcast. And also make sure that you subscribe as well. If you hit that subscribe button, you'll never miss one of our episodes. Share this with anyone else that you think will find it valuable, and I so appreciate all of your support. Thanks so much. Bye.